Hello, today we're going to talk about adding and subtracting positive and negative mixed numbers. Now, if you have negative and positive mixed numbers, then what you're going to do is use your integer rules. If you remember your integer rules, if they have the same signs, so for example, negative 10 plus negative 5, then you're going to add them together and keep the signs the same. If they have different signs, so for example, negative 10 plus 5, then you subtract the two numbers and then take the sign of the bigger number. It's going to be the same exact thing when we're dealing with mixed numbers. So if you are adding two mixed numbers that have the same signs, you're going to add the two mixed numbers together and then just keep the sign the same. So if they're both negative, you'll make your answer negative. If the signs are different, then what you're going to do is take the bigger mixed number minus the smaller, and then whichever mixed number is bigger, that's the sign that your answer gets. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and warm up with problem number 1. This is a review. It's a positive plus a positive, so you're just going to add them and keep it positive using those integer rules. So pause the video, go ahead and add the two mixed numbers together, and then play the video to check your answers. Once you have your common denominator found, you're just going to go ahead and add. So this is going to be 31/24, and then 4 plus 12 is 16. I just need to reduce this because we have an improper fraction here. 31/24, that's really 1 7/24. And then we need to add in our 16. So 16 plus that 1 makes 17. So our final answer is 17 7/24. All right, let's take a look at the second problem. We have 1 2/9 plus negative 2 1/3. So first off, this is an addition problem. You're adding a positive and a negative number. So since the signs are different, in this problem we are going to subtract. Now, think about how we do subtraction though. We always put the bigger number on top. So if we were going to do 99 minus 70, that would be the correct order. We wouldn't put the 70 on top if we're going to subtract. We're going to have to do the same thing with mixed numbers. So if we look at our two mixed numbers here, we have 1 2/9 and 2 1/3. Since 2 1/3 is bigger, when we're going to go and subtract, we have to put that one on top. All right, go ahead and pause the video, subtract your two mixed numbers, and see if you can figure out if your answer is positive or negative. All right, so now that I have my common denominator, I'm going to go ahead and subtract. I get 1/9, and then 2 minus 1 is 1. Then to figure out if my answer is negative or positive, remember I go back, look at my two mixed numbers. Since 2 1/3 is larger than 1 2/9 and it's negative, my answer is negative 1 1/9. All right, so now let's talk about subtracting rational numbers. In order to subtract rational numbers, you're first going to use SAO, and then decide whether or not you want to add or subtract the mixed numbers, and then again use your integer rules just like on the last slide. So looking at this first problem here, if I use SAO, that means that my first mixed number is going to stay the same. I change my subtraction sign to an addition sign. And then the opposite of negative 4 5/9 is positive 4 5/9. Now, once you use SAO, then you have to decide whether or not you're actually going to be adding or subtracting these two mixed numbers. So in this problem, the signs are the same because it's a positive plus a positive. So when they're the same, we add them and then keep them the same. So pause the video, go ahead and add up your two mixed numbers, and then play the video to check your answer. All right, so once I have my common denominator here, I'm going to go ahead and add. I get 8/9, and then 5 plus 4 is 9. So 9 8/9. Again, we are adding a positive plus a positive, so that means my answer is positive 9 8/9. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at number 4. Again, since this is a subtraction problem, we're going to go ahead and use SAO first. Keep the first mixed number the same. Change the subtraction sign to an addition sign. And then the opposite of negative 7 and 7/12 is positive 7 and 7/12. All right, so now we're going to look at the signs of our two mixed numbers. They are different. See how we have one negative over here, and then this is a positive mixed number. So since the signs are different, that means we're going to subtract. But remember, we just talked about how whenever you're doing subtracting, you always have to have the bigger number on top. So in this case, if you notice, they're out of order because 7 and 7/12 is bigger than 4 and 3/10. So let's change the order around. We want to take 7 and 7/12 and subtract 4 and 3/10. Okay, go ahead, pause the video, try it, and we'll see how you do. All right, so once I have my common denominator here, I'm going to be taking 35/60 minus 18/60, which is 17/60, and then 7 minus 4 is 3. So now we have to decide if our answer is positive or negative. So we go back to our problem. We see which mixed number is bigger. That would be this one right here. And since it's positive, that means our final answer is positive. So 3 and 17/60. Okay, now it's your turn. Here are 4 problems that I'd like you to try. Make sure that you use SAO first if you need to. Decide if you're going to add or subtract. If you would like to, you could do one problem at a time and then play the video to check your answers as you go along, or you can try all 4 and then check your answers at the end. So for this first problem, after you use SAO, it ends up being a negative plus a negative, which means we're going to add the mixed numbers. If you did not add these two mixed numbers, pause the video and go back and try it again. Otherwise, if you did add them, you should have taken 6 and 3/8 and added 2 and 1/3. Our final answer, though, is going to be negative because we're taking a negative times a negative. And it looks like once we add these together, we get 17/24, and 6 plus 2 is 8. And again, since it's a negative plus a negative, that makes negative 8 and 17/24. All right, for number 2, we do not need to use SAO on number 2 because it's not a subtraction problem. However, if I look at my two mixed numbers, I see that my signs are different, so that means I'm going to have to subtract on this problem. The problem, though, is that these two mixed numbers are not in the right order for subtraction. So I'm going to take my larger mixed number, 9 and 7/20, and subtract 8 and 10/12. If you did not do it that way, go ahead and fix your answer and then play the video to check it. All right, so let's see about our common denominator here. Our common denominator is going to be 60. Now on this one, when I try to subtract 21/60 minus 50/60, I'm not able to, which means I have to borrow in this problem. So remember to borrow, we're going to take 1 away from the 9 and make it an 8. And that 1 that we took away, we're going to add in front of our fraction. So now this, as a mixed number, is going to be 81/60. Now we can go ahead and subtract 81/60 minus 50/60, which is 31/60. And then our whole numbers in the front, 8 minus 8 is 0. So now the only thing left is to check if my answer is going to be negative or positive. So I go back up here to the top. The 9 and 7/20 is larger, and it's positive, so that means my answer is positive. So the final answer for number 2 is 31/60. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at number 3. Number 3, we're not going to use SAO on this one because it's adding. But since it's adding a negative plus a negative, the signs are the same, so that means we're going to add these two mixed numbers and then keep the sign the same. So our final answer will be negative. Now, if you did not do that problem this way and you did not add the two mixed numbers, then go ahead and pause the video and change it. Once you have your common denominator here, we have 15 eighteenths plus 8 eighteenths. That's going to give us 23 eighteenths. And then the 2 plus 4 is 6. Now, since this is an improper fraction, we're going to go ahead and change that to a mixed number. 23 eighteenths, that's really 1 and 5 eighteenths. And then we have to add in that 6 in the front, which makes it 7 and 5 eighteenths. Now remember, we added a negative, so that means our final answer is negative. So negative 7 and 5 eighteenths. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at number 4. Now, if you notice in number 4, it's a subtraction problem, and it already has the bigger mixed number listed first. So we don't really need to say on this one. We can just go ahead and subtract our two mixed numbers. If you did not do that, go ahead and pause the video and try to fix your answer before you check it. So once I find my common denominator, I have 14 21sts minus 18 21sts. I can't do that, so I'm going to go ahead and borrow. That makes 35 21sts minus 18 21sts, which is 17 21sts. And then in front, our whole numbers, 3 minus 3 is nothing. So our final answer is 17 over 21.